I mean, when I look through my YouTube analytics, I find that the most popular videos are the ones where I have like intentionally name dropped a lot of different people and use like certain keywords, like Nietzsche, for example. Canceling Nietzsche was kind of a popular video, as was the video where I canceled Chomsky. I put that out like the day of or the day after that Harper's Letter came out, so obviously that is by far my most popular video. And then the video that I made just a few days ago, where I talk about the media strategies of the anti-woke left, that video has done pretty decently because I used a thumbnail, I think, which I can very rarely be bothered to do, and also because I, name dropped a lot of like way more popular people in the description. So the video that I made yesterday, where I was I was talking about libertarianism and like a certain libertarian position and how they like are so wrapped up in their own bullshit that they cannot think of like basic ethical questions, like it just don't fucking occur to them. And I kept like referring to a kind of like generalized libertarian, probably quite ineptly, because I was responding to like a particular video that came out from a fairly popular but like still quite niche like right-wing, ultra-conservative, like dog-whistling neo-Nazi YouTuber that I happen to follow. And I was really torn, and I've been thinking today about whether or not, because that video didn't get as much action as I think that it could have if I had like referred to this guy by name. And I've been a bit torn about whether or not I want to do so. Not obviously because like the concern is like giving somebody a platform, like that's not an issue for me because my platform doesn't really exist. I don't have a platform. But it's mostly like a question of like dignity and like whether or not I want to like get into that sort of thing. Like it's always like so deeply cringy and embarrassing to me when I see left media people still referring to Jordan Peterson in order to drive their content. Like just the fact that like that was ever a thing is fucking embarrassing, because like that guy was obviously a idiot from the beginning. Like everybody could see that, and like he's not worthy of respect. I mean, I understand like Zizek debating him on stage because that gave him a like I'm sure quite fat paycheck, but like debasing yourself to like producing content around like debunking Jordan Peterson's views is like really I mean embarrassing to me, and I certainly never want to get like locked into any kind of like dynamic where people are expecting me to produce that kind of content. But also like there's just something a bit like competitive to the idea of like talking shit about people, like referring to, I mean, whether or not it's like calculated to like take advantage of this other person's like bigger platform. It just seems a bit undignified to be like going around like getting into fights. Like I could make the argument just as effectively if I abstract the argument. I can make my argument just as effectively if I abstract their position away from themselves as an individual. But obviously that's not going to get as many views at my point at this point of my career, and it's not going to reach the same audience who would be more likely to come across like an opposing kind of video. So I've just been wondering about that. Like I don't know what I'm going to do. I think that my reticence to like engage in this kind of dirty tactics might just be just because like I'm not used to doing this sort of thing. Part of me does believe that it's actually like perfectly normal and fine to like engage in like hostilities with enemies who you consider to be reflective of your own position, your own power. Like as a certain philosopher who we do not reference by name on this channel once said, your enemies are like, you should love your enemies, and your enemies are kind of like reflective of your own power, your own like estimation of yourself. So like that's kind of why I like to talk about Foucault, even though I consider him an enemy, or think about Foucault at least, because like he made pretty like powerful and like compelling and like deceptive, manipulative arguments that go against like a materialist philosophy, and they like distract a lot of well-meaning people from the one truth of communism. Like Foucault is an enemy that I can respect. Foucault is an enemy for me, and like I guess this other guy, I mean, I would be outing myself as like following this guy, which would be embarrassing. There are all kinds of considerations. I'd be exposing myself to like legions of 4chan trolls, and it's just generally undignified. Anyway, I'm curious to know what anybody watching this video might think, what they might think on the matter. Like, do you think there's something problematic or wrong with like people getting into like flame wars with each other on the internet? People who are like ostensibly have platforms. I don't really have a platform again, but who are like at least trying to build platforms, doing so on the corpses of their fallen enemies or something. Like, what do you think? Sound off. That's it for now.